Have you ever felt exhausted, even when you've slept enough? Have you ever smiled on the outside, but inside, there's a storm you can't calm? Have you ever caught yourself rushing through life, checking your phone, scrolling endlessly, while the world inside you feels silent? Or worse, chaotic? Pause. Take a moment and really feel that question. Let it settle. Because most of us live our lives distracted, busy, and constantly pulled by the demands of the outside world, rarely noticing the state of our own minds. Do you know that the average American spends more than 6 hours a day staring at screens, yet spends less than 6 minutes looking inward? Think about that. 6 hours consumed by the outside, 6 minutes for the most important relationship of your life, the one with yourself. How does that feel? I'm inviting you to take a breath, right here, right now. Notice your chest rising and falling. Notice the tension in your shoulders. Notice the thoughts bouncing in your mind. Let this moment be yours. Welcome to Mindfulness, a space created to help you reconnect with yourself. Inspired by Thich Nhat Hanh and the wisdom of leading mindfulness teachers in the United States, we explore simple yet profound practices that quiet the mind, ease the heart, and bring real presence into your life. We're not here to preach or make life perfect. We're here to open a door to awareness, peace, and clarity that's been quietly waiting inside you all along. Because presence is not a luxury, it's your birthright. And sometimes all it takes is one deep breath to start feeling it. So take another breath, slowly. Let the air fill your lungs. Notice how your body responds. Even a few seconds of mindful attention can shift something deep within. And this is just the beginning. In the moments ahead, we're going to explore how to calm the storm of your mind and step into a life that feels alive, awake, and truly yours. We spend so much of our lives blaming the chaos around us. Long hours at work, traffic jams, bills, impossible deadlines, or difficult relationships. Yet the real enemy doesn't live outside. It lives inside. It's the restless, uncontrollable mind that never stops talking, questioning, doubting, or criticizing. Picture it, a wild horse inside your head. No reins, no saddle, just pure, untamed energy running in all directions. One moment, it carries you forward with excitement. The next, it throws you off balance, leaving you anxious, irritable, or paralyzed by worry. That horse doesn't care about logic, deadlines, or your intentions. It just runs. Even the Buddha recognized this centuries ago. He said, "Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind rot." In other words, our experiences, the stress, fear, sadness, or anger we feel, don't come from the outside world. They are born from our own minds. When we fail to train it, the mind becomes a relentless force, pulling us in every direction, often against our own well-being. This isn't just philosophical talk. Science confirms it. Research in neuroscience shows that the human brain has a natural tendency toward negativity bias. It notices threats and problems more than calm or joy. Without mindfulness, our minds amplify worries and replay painful memories, creating stress loops we don't even realize we're stuck in. In the United States, mindfulness pioneers like John Kabat-Zinn and Sharon Salzberg have spent decades teaching people to recognize this inner turbulence. They stress that the enemy isn't work, family, or society. It's the untrained mind itself. By noticing it, by observing it without judgment, we start to take back control. Awareness is the first weapon against the chaos inside. I remember a vivid example from my own life. I was at my desk, emails piling up, phone buzzing every few minutes, deadlines looming, my chest tight, my thoughts racing. I thought I was just overwhelmed by external demands. But then a quiet insight came. I realized the chaos wasn't out there. It was in me. It was the wild horse running loose in my head. I had been feeding it with constant attention, letting it pull me around without ever noticing it. This is what Thich Nhat Hanh calls the mind in turmoil. He explains that we often live in what he calls the state of unmindfulness, where every thought and emotion is followed blindly, like a horse running without a rider. And yet, he assures us liberation is possible. We can learn to calm the horse, to observe it, and eventually guide it instead of being dragged by it. The mind's restlessness is subtle and persistent. It whispers fears, doubts, and regrets in ways that feel urgent, convincing, and impossible to ignore. It makes you believe you need to act, fix, or escape constantly. But here's the truth. The majority of this noise is optional. You don't have to believe every thought. You don't have to chase every feeling. American mindfulness teachers like Jack Kornfield emphasize this point through simple yet profound exercises. Pause, breathe, notice, and return. When we learn to observe our thoughts without judgment, the wild horse begins to settle. The storm slows down. For the first time, we realize that we are not our mind. We are the awareness watching it. This shift is revolutionary because it changes everything. No longer are we reacting blindly to the world. We start to respond. No longer are we swept away by anxiety, fear, or anger. We begin to act with clarity. The hidden enemy isn't defeated with force or discipline. It's transformed with presence, curiosity, and compassion for ourselves first and then for the world. Most people never get this chance because they are caught up in doing, achieving, and reacting. But the liberation, the freedom, the peace we crave, it's always been inside, waiting. The enemy is not your boss, your bills, or the chaos outside. The enemy is the untamed mind inside you. And the amazing news? You already have everything you need to calm it. You just have to start noticing. There comes a moment for everyone when the storm inside becomes too loud to ignore. For me, that moment came unexpectedly. I was sitting in my apartment, exhausted after a week of endless meetings, emails, and social obligations. My head was buzzing with worries. Deadlines I hadn't met, conversations I had botched, things I should have done yesterday. I felt hollow, like life was passing by while I was stuck inside a whirlwind of my own making. I remember glancing at my bookshelf and seeing a small book by Thich Nhat Hanh. I had picked it up months ago, but never opened it. That evening, almost out of boredom, I flipped it open. One line caught me. Sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. I paused. I had been waiting for life to make me happy. I had been waiting for peace to arrive from the outside. But here was a radical idea. Maybe it could start from within. At first, I thought mindfulness was boring. Sit quietly, focus on your breath, watch your thoughts. That sounded impossible. My mind was a tornado. Stillness felt like punishment. Yet something made me try. I sat on my couch, closed my eyes, and simply noticed my breathing. In and out, slowly, deliberately. And then, unexpectedly, I noticed a crack in the chaos. For just a few seconds, the relentless chatter softened. My chest didn't feel as tight. My thoughts didn't feel as heavy. That was the first turning point. It wasn't dramatic. No fireworks, no instant enlightenment. Just a tiny, subtle shift. But in that tiny shift, I glimpsed something I had never felt before. Presence, awareness, peace. I began reading more, watching talks by American mindfulness teachers like Sharon Salzberg, Jack Kornfield, and Jon Kabat-Zinn. I learned how these practices weren't just spiritual exercises. They were practical tools for daily life. They offered a way to handle stress, sadness, and the endless pull of the mind without judgment, without resistance. One day, I tried a short mindfulness walk in my neighborhood. With each step, I focused entirely on the sensation of my feet touching the ground, the sounds of birds, the feeling of the wind on my skin. Normally, my walks were a mental checklist, things to do, calls to make, emails to send. But that walk was different. I felt my mind and body reconnecting. I felt joy in the simplest things, a leaf blowing in the wind, a neighbor's laugh, the warmth of the sun. Thich Nhat Hanh calls this touching the earth. It's the idea that presence, even in a tiny moment, has the power to transform our experience. In that transformation, I realized that mindfulness wasn't just a practice. It was a lifeline, a way to step out of the storm and finally stand on solid ground. I started small, 5 minutes of breathing in the morning, observing thoughts without judgment, walking mindfully for 10 minutes. Each tiny practice began to create a ripple, subtle but undeniable. Life didn't become perfect, but it became manageable. The wild horse in my mind didn't vanish, but I began to guide it rather than be dragged by it. This turning point, this first encounter with mindfulness, showed me that change isn't about dramatic events or massive decisions. It's about noticing. It's about taking the tiniest step toward presence, then another, and each step builds on the last, quietly transforming how we live, think, and feel. Looking back, I realized that the turning point wasn't a moment in time. It was a doorway. And the first time I stepped through it, I discovered something profound. Peace isn't waiting for the outside world to change. It's waiting for you to notice the present moment. Mindfulness is like a secret weapon. You already have it. And the best part is, you don't need to buy it, schedule it, or earn it. It's always been inside you, quietly waiting for attention. The problem is that most of us don't realize it. We look outside for relief, for clarity, for peace, when all along, the real tools were under our own noses. Or more accurately, in our own minds. Think of it like this. Life throws challenges at you every day. Stressful meetings, difficult conversations, unexpected setbacks. And without mindfulness, these challenges pile up like bricks, pressing down on your chest, weighing you down emotionally, mentally, and even physically. Mindfulness doesn't remove the bricks, but it changes the way you carry them. It gives you 3 simple anchors that you can use anytime, anywhere to reclaim your balance. The first key is breath as the anchor. Your breath is always with you, like a silent friend that never leaves. Thich Nhat Hanh often says, "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor." When your mind races, just notice your breath. In, out, slow and steady. Let it ground you in the present. I remember sitting in a crowded cafe, overwhelmed by everything on my to-do list, feeling like I couldn't breathe. I closed my eyes, focused on my breath, and in moments, the tension melted just enough to see a way forward. Breath is simple, yet it's transformative. The second key is now as the only time we truly own. Our minds are masters at time travel, replaying the past or racing into the future. But the present moment is all we ever have. Jack Kornfield, one of America's most influential mindfulness teachers, calls this the miracle of now. He encourages noticing small moments, the warmth of your coffee cup, the sound of rain on your window, the feeling of your feet on the floor. When you anchor yourself in the now, anxiety loses its grip and life becomes vivid. The third key is awareness transforms pain. Life is not free from suffering. Buddha was clear on this, but awareness allows us to face it without being overwhelmed. Pain is part of life, but suffering is optional. I remember a friend struggling with grief after losing a loved one. Through mindfulness, simply noticing the waves of emotion rather than running from them or trying to fix them allowed her to find moments of peace amid the storm. Awareness doesn't erase pain. It gives it space to transform. These 3 keys, breath, now, awareness, aren't abstract or complicated. You can practice them anywhere, standing in line, waiting at a red light, sitting in traffic, or even lying in bed before sleep. Each key is like a small, powerful tool in your pocket, ready to steady you when life feels out of control. Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us that mindfulness is about small steps, repeated consistently. Even 30 seconds of focused breathing can change your state. A single moment of noticing your surroundings can reset your entire day. Awareness, like a muscle, grows stronger the more you use it. I started applying these 3 keys in tiny moments, pausing to breathe before answering emails, noticing my steps during my morning walk, observing feelings without judgment. Each small act became a thread in a fabric of calm, resilience, and clarity. Over time, the wild horse in my mind no longer dragged me wherever it wanted. I was learning to ride it, guiding it with awareness and patience. This secret weapon is subtle but powerful. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand attention, and it doesn't offer instant results. But its impact compounds quietly, profoundly. With breath, presence, and awareness, the chaos inside begins to settle, and life starts to feel manageable, even joyful, in ways you didn't think were possible. Let's pause for a moment and try something simple, something you can do right now, wherever you are. This is the proof that mindfulness works, even in the smallest dose. It only takes 30 to 60 seconds, but those seconds can change how you feel. Sit comfortably or stand if you prefer. Close your eyes if it feels safe, or soften your gaze. Take a slow, deep breath in, and let it out gently. Don't force it. Just notice the sensation of the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and leaving again. In and out. Now, bring your attention to your body. Feel your feet on the ground, your back supported by the chair, the subtle weight of your hands resting in your lap. Notice any tension, any tightness, and simply allow it to soften as you breathe. Thoughts will come. That's natural. Your mind might wander to the emails you haven't answered, the tasks waiting for you, the conversation you had earlier. Notice these thoughts without judgment. Imagine them as clouds drifting across the sky. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to fight them. Just observe and return your attention gently to your breath and body. If it helps, try a simple mantra, repeating silently as you inhale, in, and as you exhale, out. Let your breathing be the anchor that steadies the waves of your mind. Keep this awareness for a few more breaths. Even 30 seconds of focused attention is enough to feel a subtle shift. Notice if your mind feels a little quieter, even for just 10 seconds. Notice if your chest feels a bit lighter, if your shoulders have relaxed slightly, if a sense of calm has entered, even briefly. This mini experience is proof of concept. It's evidence that mindfulness isn't theoretical. You don't have to believe it works. You can feel it with your own body and mind. Every time you practice this, you are training the wild horse inside, showing it a gentler, steadier path. The beauty of this exercise is its simplicity. No special equipment, no hours of meditation, no complex techniques. Just you, your breath, and your awareness. In the span of a single minute, you've done what most of us never do. You've paused. You've returned to the present. You've noticed yourself fully and without distraction. This is the first step toward reclaiming your mind from constant chatter. It's small, but its ripple effect can be enormous. One mindful breath can lead to 2, then 5, then 10. Moments of awareness can expand into hours, days, and ultimately a life where presence guides your choices instead of stress and worry. Remember, even Thich Nhat Hanh emphasizes starting small. He teaches that mindfulness is not about forcing grand transformations. It's about nurturing tiny seeds of awareness every day. And just like a seed, with care and attention, it grows into something profound, a mind that is calmer, clearer, and more alive. I know what it feels like to be trapped in the chaos of your own mind. I've been there. Racing thoughts, sleepless nights, a constant feeling of not being enough, of being pulled in every direction without control. It's exhausting, isolating, and sometimes even terrifying. But mindfulness changed that. One breath at a time, one moment of awareness after another, I began to reclaim my mind. I discovered that even a single minute of focused attention could shift my state from panic to calm, from frustration to clarity. I began to see that life wasn't about escaping stress or avoiding pain. It was about learning to meet it with presence, compassion, and clarity. And here's the thing. This is not just my story. It can be yours too. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment, a retreat, or a quiet mountain temple. The tools are already inside you, waiting for your attention. Breath, presence, awareness. These are your allies, ready to guide you through the challenges of everyday life. I want to invite you to take this journey with me, to explore mindfulness not as a lofty concept, but as a practical, life-changing practice. Even a minute a day can ripple outward, slowly transforming how you experience your life, your relationships, and even yourself. Imagine turning the noise of your mind into clarity, your stress into focus, your pain into insight. This invitation isn't about perfection. It's about curiosity. It's about showing up for yourself every day, even in the smallest ways. The moment you decide to breathe, to notice, to be present, you step onto a path that leads to more peace, more joy, and more freedom than you might have thought possible. Teachers like Sharon Salzberg and Jack Kornfield often remind us that mindfulness is a lifelong journey. And yet, it begins with small, simple steps. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need a perfect practice. You just need the willingness to begin. So take that first step today. Breathe. Notice. Be present. Let these small moments accumulate, and over time you'll find that life feels lighter, clearer, and more alive. If 1 minute can shift your state, imagine what a daily practice can do for your entire life. That's why I created Mindfulness, to walk this path together, to explore these moments of presence, and to help you discover the calm, clarity, and joy that's always been inside you. This is your invitation. Not for tomorrow, not for someday, but for right now. Your mind, your heart, and your life are waiting for it. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. The sun is just beginning to spill through your window. You don't reach for your phone. You don't immediately drown in yesterday's stress or tomorrow's worries. Instead, you take a slow breath. You feel your chest rise and fall. You notice the warmth of the sunlight on your skin, the soft sound of the world around you. For a moment, you are fully present. You smile, not because everything is perfect, but because you are alive, and alive fully. You start your day grounded, calm, and aware. You are not rushing, reacting, or resisting. You are simply here, breathing, noticing, living. Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, smile, breathe, and go slowly. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but it is revolutionary. That simple act of presence can transform the entire texture of your day, your relationships, and ultimately, your life. Jack Kornfield and Sharon Salzberg would echo the same. Mindfulness is not about escaping life. It's about meeting it fully, with compassion and awareness. Even small moments accumulate. A mindful breath here, a pause there, noticing the body, the mind, and the world around you. Each moment becomes a ripple, and those ripples build a river of calm, clarity, and joy. The wild horse in your mind doesn't disappear. It becomes a companion you can ride, guiding it rather than being dragged. Picture yourself moving through your day like this. Meetings, traffic, responsibilities, they are still there, but they no longer control you. You respond rather than react. You choose presence over distraction. You notice life instead of letting it pass unnoticed. And then you take another breath, a deep, slow, conscious breath, a pause. 2, maybe 3 seconds of silence. In that silence, there is peace. In that silence, there is freedom. And in that silence, there is you, fully alive, fully present, fully awake. This is not a dream. This is mindfulness, and it's waiting for you in every moment if you are willing to notice. Pause. Let the words sink in. Feel the stillness. Smile.